me open this. Woo! Well, thank you, team. Here is a prayer from Howard Thurman. Keep alive in me the forward look, the high hope, the onward surge. Let me not be frozen, either by the past or the present. Grant me, O patient Father, thy sense of the future, without which all life would sicken and die. Amen. Amen. Keep alive in us the forward look, the high hope. We call this conference to love, heal, and bless creation. We've got the love down. You can have your own little packet of milkweed seeds to grow, germinate. Maybe you can even grow them. And they are at the community resources table, and in a little while after this, I will put on my apron and I will give a quick and not at all dirty demonstration of how you too can germinate your native seeds. So, who attends a church with some lawn? And by lawn, I mean usually there's landscaping with turf grass and shrubs and flowers. Who here has that at their church? Okay. Who here has some lawn at home that you control? And not a condo, for instance. All right? Speaking of love, does anyone here love their lawn? You do. Oh. I'm sorry, Bob. You might feel a little unhappy as well as outnumbered. But I'm taking an aim at shrinking the American lawn because it's an incredibly valuable chunk of creation. And it's a creation that is under extreme threat. Collectively, we, private individuals, own a lot of lawn, 40 to 50 million acres of lawn in this country. And that's not golf clubs or athletic fields, that's private lawns. And school campuses own a bit too. So happily, to restore even half of that acreage to its natural state by filling our little patches of soil with native plants is not difficult, and it matters. Every square yard, every square foot that we can transform makes a real difference in healing creation. I am not preaching to the choir today. I know from experience, some of you may be dealing with people at church or at home who want to keep things just the way they are. My hope today is to equip you with some conversation, some ideas you can use in conversation to help people see our situation differently. So, the lawn up until recently has been a traditional sign of respectability and prosperity. Our attraction to the lawn may well have to do with the hundreds of thousands of years that our ancestors lived in savanna, where we hunted animals for dinner, and the hunters who were wary enough not to be eaten became our ancestors. We are genetically paranoid. So, and And all that's our DNA. The current trouble starts in 17th century France with this guy, Louis XIV. If you've got it, flaunt it. And he had it. For his palace at Versailles, the king raised villages and forests to put in vast, manicured gardens and lawn. Vast. He dominated politics. He dominated nature. He turned nature into decoration. Now, next slide. This man was the American ambassador to the court of Versailles in the last 5 years of the monarchy. And he fell in love with everything French. So, next slide, when precisely this plaything of kings and aristocrats came to the United States is unknown. But Jefferson was among the first. In 1806, Monticello, and then around the same time, George Washington at Mount Vernon. Now, and then UVA's, the most famous lawn in America, right, Eric?
Yes, it
Yeah,
is.
this is the most famous lawn in America. So to keep lawns looking pretty required a lot of labor, and it still does. We now put a lot of resources into these lawns. Next one. It's America's largest irrigated crop by a large margin. Isn't that amazing? Our lawn, we don't eat it, nothing eats it, and it's where we put most of our water. So we waste, EPA figures, we waste about half the water that we put on the lawn. I read this week that there's a study, the east coast of the United States is sinking because we have pumped out so much groundwater. Washington, D.C., the mall is sinking. So, we dump twice as many chemicals on our lawns as farmers put on their agricultural fields to grow crops. Now, agricultural runoff is a devastating problem. So, then our lawn maintenance equipment, hugely polluting. About 5% of air pollution in the United States comes from lawn maintenance equipment, more in an area like we are in today because it's more lawns. So the other half, okay, I'm sorry. Even if you don't water your lawn and you don't fertilize and you don't spray for mosquitoes or mow the lawn, it's still not good because the other half of the problem is what lawns don't do. They don't do anything for nature. They're just decoration. Now this, lawns, oops, let's go back. Lawns right up to the front door are kind of a harsh look, right? So what we have done for many years is we started importing all kinds of decorative plants. Now, it would be okay if English ivy only ever covered buildings, but you see the look. We put these pretty things, decorative things around our houses. English ivy, tree of heaven, Japanese honeysuckle, Chinese privet, European nettle. And someone I especially hate brought in Bermuda grass, otherwise known as wiregrass or devil grass, which originated in Africa. And then it took over Bermuda, and now it's taking over the United States. So this is human beings thinking we can dominate nature. We can treat nature like a resource to be exploited. And we've ended up making huge problems. All of these plants that I just mentioned are highly invasive. I bet you recognize, who recognizes that one on the right? Yeah. Also, highly invasive, and the berries are poisonous to birds. All these plants are driving out native plants. What is it with native plants? They have been in this geography for hundreds of thousands of years, and they are native. Recognize this? Hundreds of thousands of years. The redbud. Lots of them I know in Arlington. Native plants are, whoops, go back a second. Native plants are native to an area. They're not native to everywhere. Don't buy something that says this is a native to America. No, you need to be native to Virginia. You probably need to be native to your region of Virginia. So they have adapted to local conditions, and they need less care. Local wildlife has evolved over thousands of years to be adapted to the native flora. Yeah. Caterpillar eating milkweed, and this is the end product, the beautiful monarch butterfly. And so native plants don't just attract pollinators, they support pollinators. They make it possible for pollinators to keep on living. Like this next one, the oak tree. What do they call it? The keystone genera. These are plants that feed lots and lots and lots of different types of native flora. Oak trees host 534 species of Lepidoptera alone. Lepidoptera are insects. They are moths and butterflies. 534. Now, I don't think there's another plant that comes close to that kind of generosity. But no matter how pleasing to our eyes, no matter how traditional our lawns and those decorative plants are, they compete with native flora for precious resources: space, water, nutrients, sunlight. And they don't support our wildlife. So, all right, I grew up a long time ago, and there was a controversy about the snail darter. And the theme was, and the theme still is, why should we care about wildlife? Well, I'll tell you something wild. Do you know that 40 to 50% of your body weight, naked, is non-human genetic material? Did you know that? If you're not feeling like yourself today, maybe it's because you are. So, next slide, please. This is just, yeah, it's astonishing how much non-human life is inside of us, and that non-human life keeps us alive. Anybody here heard of serotonin? Yeah, that is made by a non-human organism, to which I'm extremely grateful. So, wildlife are us. You know, we are wildlife. That's why we ought to care, because if we poison wildlife, we poison ourselves. Creation is interdependent, and it's under enormous pressure from our modern ways of living. So, next one. What can you do to help? Lots. You can make a difference with whatever talents and interests you have. Habitat restoration, my group, is not necessarily just about getting your hands dirty. No, you will not get out of here that lightly. I know we can do it. You know, sometimes helping habitat is lobbying, or it's giving money, or it's talking to people. You may have a gift for germinating seeds. No soil needed, just a refrigerator and a calendar. Sometimes helping habitat restoration is helping the habitat restoration working group with how to set up a Google Doc. I'm not kidding. So, as I am not kidding, as Bishop Curry says, we can't do everything, but we can do something. So for the rest of our time, we're splitting it. We're going to have lunch in the middle of our time, but our tables are set up around the back. For the rest of this hour and day, I'd like you to think about what that something might be that you want to do going forward. There's something here waiting to light you up. We have postcards. I have them somewhere. We'll be handing them out. I'd like you to note one or two intentions on the postcard, self-address it, give it back to me. I have a box on a table. We'll stamp it and send it back to you in about 10 days so you can file it with all your other important papers. In my house, that's my refrigerator to remind you of what you were thinking about today. Now, here's an Episcopal style guide to approaching all your work of creation care. Oh, sorry. Go back. No, all right.
That was the next thing.
Something got disconnected. All right. Anchor yourself in prayer, because even without a climate emergency, there will be storms. So the idea is pray, learn, act, advocate, or, as Father Jamal said, organize. So pray, then what do you feel called to learn about this? What do you choose to do? And how can you pass on the good to others? I can say from my own experience, engaging in this work is an ongoing discernment and transformation. I am not where I used to be. It's a wellspring of joy to witness growth in the garden. The Habitat Restoration Group, I'll put in a quick plug here, is a joyous group because we get out in the garden, we do get our fingers dirty, we like it. It's very healthful. So after lunch, you'll hear about energy conservation, and maybe that's what lights you up. Write your cards to your future self. Be specific with your intentions, please. That will also help us in the working groups and the committee get to know you and what your interests are. Members of the Habitat Restoration Group are here to talk with you and share their expertise. We have the Plant Nova natives and master gardeners of Northern Virginia, really rich resources that are right in your area, if you're in this area. Then we have the Creation Garden, which comes to us from HOCO in Richmond, which is Holy Comforter. They have a wonderful plan, which is going to be effective in putting in a native garden on their church grounds. We have expertise on invasive plant removal. We have a hodgepodge of community resources. That's where I put on my blue apron and do my magic with some seeds. We have Homegrown National Park, another fabulous resource. We have nature journaling and Audubon at Home. And then we have, what do we have? Oh, we have from the marvelous Trinity Episcopal Church in Charlottesville, Virginia. We have Ann Majewski, who will talk with you about the 8 essential elements of conservation landscaping, I'm sorry, and lots of things here from Trinity Church, which has a lot of wonderful projects, talk to her, and yeah, and then other various things around. So, and what's doing in the diocese? If you can flag a member down, let us know what's happening in your diocese, because we would like to have sort of an updated asset map of what parishes are doing to help creation. So we will do what, 20 minutes or so, and then head out for lunch.
Yeah.
Before I forget, twice, I am really very honored to introduce the Reverend Melanie Mullen, who came to be with us. She is from the National Church, the Director of Justice, Reconciliation, and Creation Care. We are really delighted to have you. So please.
I'd be remiss not to do my one favorite thing in my job.
I bring you greetings on behalf of our presiding bishop, Bishop Kirby. Virginia, you're awesome. Thank you for doing this. Phoebe and I and the Creation Care Office are always trying to figure out ways that we can support dioceses that are light years ahead. And Virginia, you are light years ahead. Getting organized, doing this work. And if there's ever anything we can do to support you, as Jaman said, we are on our way to $1 million of grants, so get your applications in for Creation Care grants. Technical resources, mapping resources, we're here. So come and get my card. We love you and thank you for doing this work.
We have about 15 minutes now for you to go around to the tables and take a little sampling and get to know different folks, and then we'll have lunch. I ask any VTS people to make sure to partner with folks to help us usher folks up to the refectory, the campus dining hall, where we'll have lunch together. And then we'll be back around around 1, and you'll have 15 more minutes to go around, and then after that, we'll hear from our energy efficiency team. So thank you.
Well, do you want us to, VTS people, identify yourselves?
That butterflies didn't work as well as I thought they would. I was expecting it to work.